But back by popular demand, let's start this off with the Ghost of Westcot, because I can't get away from like Nancy Drew sounding titles because I think they're fun.
That's definitely that's a Nancy Drew or Hardy Boys book. Yeah,
It's
or maybe a Sherlock Holmes and the Ghost of Westcott. It sounds pretty British.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was Mission Impossible.
We are doing another Disney episode, boyos.
The rat's back.
We are back in the fucking rat trap today, my friends.
Also, what the fuck is this, Ryan?
This is a Ralph Steadman drawing, the guy who did a lot with like
love me
Hunter
some
S.
Ralph.
Thompson and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
He has a bunch of series on like Disney critters looking absolutely horrific, but this one it's that saccharine sweet with just unhappy kids everywhere.
Also, is that Porky Pig in the background? He's not a Disney.
It's one of the three little pigs from one of their most famous animated shorts that came out in the 40s, I think, maybe 50s.
All right.
It's the one where they had to change the very anti-Semitic caricature into a wolf.
Oh.
Yeah, hey, rat's up to its old tricks, even from the beginning.
I really hate this.
Yeah.
I just want to say.
No, this is...
I love it.
I viscerally dislike this image. I hate Mickey's hand and child placement, and I hate Donald's as well. And I hate the fact that Donald's looking back at me, and I have zero fucking
Same with
clue.
Goofy.
I have zero
Goofy's
fucking
side-eye.
clue what Goofy's up to.
Goofy
Goofy
side-eye.
is the lookout. Goofy's the lookout.
Yeah.
It's a very uncomfortable drawing, but every story needs a protagonist, no matter how slimy.
Eisner.
This is Michael Eisner. Eisner. Michael Eisner was vice president at ABC through the early 70s. He did some stints at NBC and CBS before that.
Oh, he fucked around.
He fucked around. He kind of just jumped from position to position to company.
He's a network television fuckboy.
But sometime in the mid-70s, he jumps over to Paramount and basically saves a sinking ship and makes a name for himself in that town.
What projects saved Paramount in those days?
Basically, soon after he comes on, he immediately puts forth money and budget towards your Star Trek movies of the 70s.
Cool.
Revitalizing that series in its own way. He's responsible for George Lucas connecting up with Paramount to make the Indiana Jones franchise, starting with Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay.
He has a lot of these little things that just kind of elevate his name, and he has an ego so inflated that, of course, that's the weight that he's throwing around. Michael Eisner basically comes on as Disney CEO out of left field in 1985 or 6, I believe. Okay. He's replacing a guy called Ron Miller. Ron's not a face of the company. I mean, when we think of Disneyland, like, projecting itself as a brand image, you think of, like, the Walt Disney of the 60s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But since his death, there hasn't been somebody who's...
Alleged death.
Since his alleged disappearance of his body from the neck down.
Of the neck down, yes.
But since his death, nobody really wanted to fill those shoes.
Big shoes.
They are big shoes to fill. I mean, there were CEOs, of course, and there were heads of boards, and there were presidents.
It's also not like you're the CEO of Millerland at that point. You got to leave with that ghost is constantly looming over you.
Well, that and you had Disney's brother Roy O. Disney take over soon after and kind of did.
Wait, is that an Irish interpretation of his name?
No, it's because there's another Roy Disney coming up in this story, who's Roy's son. I believe he's Roy Jr.
Roy the Deuce?
Yeah, because he's Walt Disney's nephew.
Mm.
And they all tried their best to look like the man. Mustache, everything else like that. We'll see a picture of it.
Hey, so are there Disneys walking amongst us still? Is that name still?
Is it
like the Washington name? Like
I believe
George Washington had no descendants, kind of thing.
So there are Disneys probably around. I assume there's like kids and extended family, but there's not a Disney running the company anymore.
Well, and it's like with Zach's example, George Washington. Like George Washington had nieces and nephews. That's why, like the Washington
we
name
have the name
is
Washington
still around,
still,
and there are still living Washingtons in America.
They're still out there. But with his reputation as a fixer, your Michael Eisner, basically as soon as he comes in, Disney had been releasing their movies on VHS at that point. In fact,
those sweet plastic cases.
well, there's
Not
the
by that
thing.
point.
Here's the thing. There are other sweet plastic cases where Disney was charging about 5 times the normal places because your movie rental service and your VHS, wasn't as widespread at the time in your late 70s, early 80s. It's getting there, but it's not quite there. So Disney can upcharge their product for limited VHS runs. These aren't the ones you're seeing on an eBay. These aren't the ones in the slide that you're seeing there for either 40 cents or 40 grand. The older ones actually do hold some value because it's those old shitty 70s plastic cases that have not made it through time.
Full of asbestos. They'll never go away.
Lead paint and asbestos. Michael Eisner revolutionizes that by going, why don't we release old classics and make them really cheap? Just do big productions of it. Essentially,
You said this was the 70s, right?
this was this is
80s, late 80s.
This is mid 80s for Eisner.
So when he's saying classics, he's saying like Snow White, like things
Yes.
that were
Your
40s,
Snow White,
50s.
hey, we're doing another run of VHS tapes, and rather than charging rental places $500 to get it, we're gonna charge them the $29.95 or whatever they charge the public at that time.
For a VHS tape.
Yeah, for a VHS tape, making so many of those movies in circulation, essentially creating the Disney vault into our lexicon, in a sense, because
I remember when they would open and close the Disney Vault.
Because-
limited time.
because it
Still
was
do.
a thing, because VHS wasn't a huge market before Eisner got in there, so you had this whole
Yeah, VCRs were still very expensive, and
Yeah.
VHS tapes were also very expensive.
so things were essentially locked away in a Disney vault where you had to either pay or be in the know to get Disney tapes.
You just
or-
hope that your local theater,
yeah.
did
a rerun
Yeah.
of a couple movies, or your rental store only had like 3 different single copies of like a Disney movie. Nothing like what we grew up with in the 90s.
no one had a shelf
And this
full
is
of.
a interesting little side tangent, a little interesting thing that there was a time when, like, having a record now, you have the one physical copy of it.
Yeah.
If someone came over, is like, hey, you remember MF Doom? Do you want to listen to that album? Because I have it here on vinyl. If someone would be so blown away that you had a VHS player, and then
Yeah.
two, a VHS of a good movie, that you can come over to someone's house and be like, hey, so you remember Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs?
It's a
You want
whole...
to watch it right now? Because I got it, baby.
And there's other formats than VHS that were going around right now. You could
Betamax.
not just Betamax either. You could get 8mm cartridges of some Disney movies, but of course you're dealing with 8mm tape and not your magnetized VHS tape. So imagine VHS, but a quarter of the quality, in video and sound. Some guy decides Disney's not doing too great in their animation department before in Eisner either. They're basically spending bare bones money for your rescuers, aristocrats, and not getting too much money back from that.
Yeah.
And this guy basically creates a whole new cash flow. Essentially saving... Disney wasn't a sinking ship, but it was, it wasn't looking good throughout the 70s.
The line on the graph was more of a horizontal up than a vertical up.
Yeah.
And shareholders always want that up to be as vertical
they
as
want
possible.
that
They
uptick.
want you to rotate that at 90 degrees, so it's
Eisner is also the one responsible for your direct-to-Disney sequels. Again, new cash flow.
Oh,
We
like
can
the
get
straight
our-
to VHS
We can
sequels?
get our junior animators and other people that aren't working on any projects right now. We can have them make something for the cheap. and
While
then
we're
we'll-
making Aladdin for theater, we're making Aladdin 2 and 3 for VHS.
Yes, yeah. And that way you can kind of pump out and deal with this more revenue you're getting from home video sales and everything else like that.
he knows how to get a lot of stuff down the river, like being able to take one piece of item and then make it
Well,
profitable
and the
in
classics,
multiple
the
ways.
Vault is a genius move when it comes to
Yeah.
nostalgia marketing. So who wants to, like, grandma and grandpa just got their first VHS player. They want something for when the grandkids come over. Oh, didn't we love Snow White when we were kids in the 40s? Well, when our kids come home,
Wouldn't you know it, while we're watching ABC News, a commercial comes on and says, hey, you got to go out and get Snow White because it might not
you
come
can head
out
on
again.
down to the Safeway and buy yourself a copy of Snow White, that movie that you loved as a kid. Now you can show it to your grandkids.
Yeah. But these are really Eisner's accomplishments with the Disney brand, and it's sort of through one set of lenses and one aspect of the company during this time. We also need to talk about
Smart, good job.
Eisner also
Oh, boy.
has so many fucking connections from being through the NBC, ABC, which is not owned by Disney at this time. He puts in
Oh, okay.
plans to
Were they partners at least?
They were bedfellows.
Okay.
In a way, but Eisner's the one that puts forth, hey, we're going to own ABC and be like promoting a new ABC, like family cable channel, stuff like that.
Because I knew your Wide World of Sports on ABC was prior, like that was the 70s.
Yeah.
And then like even before that, I'm pretty sure all your Werner von Braun shit was on ABC in the 60s, right?
I can't say for sure on like your Werner von Braun and your Wonderful World of Disney at that time.
Right.
I want to dislike this man, and part of me does, but at the same time, viewing this story and the story that I'm presenting to you, to dear listener as well, like I get it. Like this is a guy who's a career con man, like high echelon businessman who can wheel and deal and talk somebody out of a franchise or something in the room, and that's reinvigorating Disney throughout your 80s, 90s. Miramax's career.
We wouldn't have a Quentin Tarantino.
No.
Like all his shit's Miramax.
Yeah.
So
We wouldn't have a Kevin Smith, guys. I can't believe you put Tarantino over a Kevin Smith. I'm just playing.
No, there's so many different things. A Touchstone as well, which was Disney sort
Really?
of like
What about
teen yeah.
was he Buena Vista or was that before Eisner?
Buena Vista, I believe, was before Eisner and took on a lot of live-action projects that Disney couldn't work on. But by the 70s, before Eisner comes in, all that's blended into, oh, this is a money pit. We're making really bad animated movies that cost too much, and really bad live-action movies that have Don Knotts in them and shit like that, that are just not, the brand is at that teetering point of being tarnished, and here comes this fucking Antichrist miracle man this goofball who wants to be the new face of Disney and puts himself in those shoes and kind of rocks it for a bit.
I mean, if you ask me what the Disney legacy is of like name the Disney CEOs, I skip right over Roy and whatever Ron Miller.
There's like three before in Eisner and now and two after.
It goes Walt Disney, and then Michael Eisner, and then
it's easy to hate on Eisner just because you look at the guy and you know he's a slime ball. Just immediately, like he's just
no more than any other executive.
He's just kind of a derpy dad.
Is that a photo of Eisner in the top right?
Yeah, top right. He's returning to the scene of the crime. This could also be, and I'm just gonna say, this is Eisner, I believe, given this backdrop in the background here with the clouds. This is Eisner in either 2001, 2002, with the opening of a park that, will put a pin in it.
Adventurous.
It's a little adventurous.
There's a lot of pins here, buddy. Hey, what's up with Kermit the Frog? Is that a Disney?
Well,
is that Jim Henson? Sorry.
That's the
Jim,
point. That was the point that I wanted to say. Our bottom two pictures. We have our Michael Eisner, who is a goofus.
Yeah.
And who's been successful in the entertainment industry, and he seems to have some sort of magnetism to other goofuses who've been successful in the entertainment industry, like a James Henderson and a Jorge Lucas.
Yeah, sure. 10 years after your franchise is popular, like, come on back, like, I'll throw you some money. Let's make an Indiana Jones ride. Let's make a Star Tours. Let's acquire some rights for the Muppets for distribution because we need a new cast of characters. Not that they even really needed a new cast of characters, because we also have to talk about how Eisner shows up.
Shit kicks off.
Shit kicks off.
Yeah.
With your Little Mermaid in 1989 all the way up to your Tarzan in 2000, this is known as the Disney Renaissance.
Yeah, I mean, this was our childhood.
This
right here. I mean, all three of us. This is
it.
Bang, bang, bang.
These are hits. Your Beauty and the Beast is the first animated movie nominated for Best Picture.
This is like an absolute bangers list. Aside from Rescuers Down Under, all of these movies.
Excuse
front to back.
Yeah,
Front to
excuse
back,
me?
I've
I mean,
seen
we-
1,000 times.
We could all point
I'm not
to,
saying Rescuers Down Under is a bad movie. I'm just saying I think I've seen it maybe twice in my life.
we could all pick we could pick 5 movies off this list that defined our childhood, and a new
Yeah.
fucking money printing era for Disney.
Absolutely.
Because you
yeah.
don't just
They
have
found a putt of gold, an oil. They found an oil hole, man, and they just
because it's
we got
not
this.
just the movies that are making money, it's your merchandise.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
also shit you can
Oh.
brand at the parks. It's also, in your case of your Lion King, a Broadway show that lasts like 25 fucking years.
It's at a time when you can have merchandise coming from in a very inexpensive way from a whole nother country where all the labor is being happening.
Oh, of
you can
course.
make all these toys, send them over super cheap, and people in a time when the economy is so value and like it's so good.
Oh, this is the
Bill
90s,
Clinton
baby.
is like taking credit for a huge amount of good stuff. People are buying and buying and buying stuff, and it's like a big consumer market.
I didn't get to see Lion King in theaters. My folks,
Oh, well, yeah, I don't know if I did.
I definitely didn't. And I remember, like, I was at school by that point in time. So you guys weren't even in school yet. I was in kindergarten, and that's what everyone was talking about is, hey, did you see this fucking movie, The Lion King? And I didn't, and everyone else did. And I just remember thinking, like, fuck, I want to see this goddamn movie so fucking bad.
Mm.
And so it drops on VHS.
Yeah.
My family, like I'm a 6-year-old child, and so time is so much longer for me.
Oh, I know.
One day, my mom's like, "Hey, we're going grocery shopping. We're gonna go to Fred Meyer in Burlington, which is a million years away from Camano Island."
Oh, yeah, no.
But we do it. We go all the way there,
a
and
fucking,
wouldn't
like,
you know, as
4-day
soon as
trip.
we walk into Fred Meyer, there's the fucking display. It's The Lion King, and there's all those VHSs.
Oh,
in
they're
their
all
soft
shiny.
covers.
They're all like $35.99 in like 1990s dollars.
Yeah.
I
So
wonder how much they originally were. Like, I would love to see a relic of like a price tag on a VHS right when they came out.
no clue how much my mom paid for it, but she was not getting out of that fucking Fred Meyer without a goddamn copy of that in the cart.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much. So I'm 6. That would have put my brother at like 1 years old at the time. And we do the rest of our shopping, and I'm so good. I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to get home and watch this fucking thing. We go to a million fucking stores.
You're grabbing things off the shelf for your mom.
It's
Like, you're the best boy.
It's 65 years to get back to Camano Island. And when we get back, the power's out.
Oh, no!
So the VCR's
Oh.
not on. And so we can't watch it that night because we're on Camano Island. So the power, if it goes out, it's not coming back on until at least the next day, if not
Yeah,
a few
yeah,
days
yeah.
down the
How
road.
precious! I could just imagine you in the dark with a flashlight or a candle. I imagine it was flashlight time. You were just reading every single thing on that cover.
Oh,
cover
yeah,
to cover.
absolutely.
You were just
You
like,
were
I know
imagining-
everything about this movie.
So
waiting
ready.
to be able to slide it. Right.
Pretty standard protocol. We plug the old landline phone into the wall, and like 5 minutes after we get home, my grandparents call. And they've got great news. They just bought us a copy of The Lion King. And my mom being
That's so cool.
and
Thanks!
my mom being as frugal as she is goes and makes sure, did I take the plastic wrapping off our VHS?
Oh, you sure did, buddy.
And I hadn't yet. I hadn't. So then it got ripped from my hands, and it's like, no, your grandparents just bought one. We're gonna save $30 here by taking this back to Fred Meyer. So not only can I not watch it that night because of the power outage, I gotta wait till we go to Grandma and Grandpa's house to get our copy of it, and then get
Which
it
is
home.
like 4
Go watch.
years away, dude.
Yeah, 3 days later, I saw The Lion King, and it was pretty good. And my brother also got into it.
I guess I do have a story about this slide as well. I know we could spend an hour and a half just
Yeah, we
looking
could.
at
I
these
wanna talk about
10
Mulan a little bit.
images. Yeah. Lion King was the project that people were sent to if they weren't doing well on Pocahontas.
Really?
Oh.
Just because we have effectively 11 years and 10 films here. So you have to think that there's a rolling production of the animators. Some are working on one project and others are working on another 2 or 3 at the same time. If you weren't doing well on Pocahontas, you were effectively moved down to a Lion King because nobody expected a Lion King to work.
Was it not though that the seasoning of all of these movies by it being like if you're bad at Pocahontas, like you got to be sent down to Lion King, right?
Yeah.
So it's so many people get to view and be a part of this one project because of there being, like a tide being moved to different places, and like more hands are on this movie because Eisner thought that fuck you and go work on Lion King. And then the dude that went to Lion King saw some bullshit that was about to happen in this movie and like cut that shit out. So then it became this curated banger that fits this profile of all these other movies too.
It's a bunch of animators with chips and writers with chips on their shoulders.
Oh yeah, no, I mean starving artists make the best work. But a lot of these, any movie is a gamble, and Disney just happened to gamble right. You can really, really try.
No, dude, it was an absolute banger from the
biggest swing I
Everybody
see.
should have known that was gonna be huge.
The biggest swing I see is Tarzan.
Tarzan is one of those.
But it fucking clapped. I mean, it worked.
It tracks because as much as you had like an Elton John on The Lion King, you have a Phil Collins on a Tarzan. You
got a Christina Aguilera. You're already churning out pop stars at this point in Mulan. You got Danny DeVito in Hercules. That's just a given.
Welcome all the way back to something like Aladdin, where you have Robin Williams as the genie, and suddenly deciding that, hey, we need a big star voice to voice a comedic character.
Yes, we need a comedy actor to be our comedic voice for a new generation.
And
dude, which was huge because Robin Williams being in Aladdin and then watching Mrs. Doubtfire, where he's a voice actor in the movie.
It's wild.
It made this full picture of like, that's so cool. Because Robin Williams did the thing, and then he plays a person that did the thing, and it goes on from there.
Each one of these movies sells their own CD.
Rescuers Down Under doesn't
no
have
one's
any
really
songs.
listened to the OST of Rescuers Down Under.
Nobody. 1 out of 3 of us have. Thank you very much.
1 out of like 65 million
I
of
love
us
some
has.
good didgeridoo fucking chase music. Yeah, it's got a couple good tracks. It's got a couple bangers, but not the bangers you would think of with Disney tracks. But a lot of these are where you had Disney movies about like, hey, we're adapting like a Kipling story in a cute way for Jungle Book, or like, hey, we're kind of doing a goofy like,
hey, we're robbing public domain to make it trademarked.
Hey, we're doing a Robin Hood and we're reusing some animation. Like, hey, you kind of get a weird little bit of Disney history in that, like, we're telling the story of Pocahontas.
Who's a real person?
Who's a real person? This isn't a fucking Beauty and the Beast fairy tale. It's like Telephone 8th way down the line.
I mean, arguably out of the 10 frames up here, 2 of these people are historical figures.
Oh yeah.
In Mulan and Pocahontas.
We need to move on from this slide, so I apologize.
Let's do it.
Next slide, please.
Line her up.
These are the big 3 at the time with Disney. You have your Eisner as a CEO sort of figurehead. Wells is sort of a president of Disney, so he's kind of on your board of directors as well as...
Is he like a day-to-day operations guy?
Like a semi-day-to-day. He's somebody who's like basically put in place to balance out an Eisner.
He's the mini boss to Eisner. So if you have a problem, you have to
It's boss baby.
You have to win the mini boss battle of convincing Wells to get it to the boss, which is Eisner.
Or when Eisner has dumb ideas, we're like, I'm gonna make half the park look like ice cream for a season, which isn't a real thing. I'm just making shit up.
Okay.
But
that would have been cool though.
that's a very Eisner move.
We don't have ice cream money.
Katzenberg, that name actually strikes a chord. I feel like I've heard that.
Isn't there an artist named Katzenberg?
You all know Jeffrey Katzenberg, I believe is his name.
J. Katz.
Well, that and like Katzenberg's your guy who's sitting in on while you're animating a Lion King, as sort of the highest guy that you could reach without going to a Wells.
Very COO, Chief Operations Officer.
So these 3 kind of matter, and we are going to jump around this timeline because these 3 are pretty much in place from when Eisner gets in there, almost until when he gets out of Disney later in this story. Frank Wells is riding in a helicopter in 1994.
Oh, I don't like how this starts.
I know.
Nothing good happens in a helicopter.
Nothing ever bad happens in a helicopter in 1994. Frank Wells dies in a helicopter accident on a family vacation, tourism in California itself.
They got his ass like they got Kobe.
Absolutely.
And immediately shakes up Disney sort of CEO structure of that.
Their executive structure, yeah.
you have a conflict where Roy E. Disney, the nephew of Walt Disney and the son of Roy O., is
Nepo baby.
He's a nepo baby who's basically on the board. Bans Katzenberg, as well as has a meeting with Eisner, to feel out and suss things out, because Katzenberg was
What
kind
did
of...
he ban him from?
Well, he was somewhat next in line or expected to take Frank Wells' job.
Okay.
The board bans Katzenberg from taking Frank Wells' role and effectively gives both jobs to Eisner.
So
What? Like in Horrible Bosses?
He's not only now like the figurehead CEO, Golden Parachute, he's also a guy who's now dealing with finances and dealing with other stuff and
Okay.
other day-to-day
Yeah.
stuff, and it's the kind of
Eisner's
thing...
now CEO/COO, basically.
Katzenberg waits up all night for a phone call that will never come. That will, after a Frank Wells' death, that he will get that job. And he makes the quick decision to go off and start a little company that this episode's not about, called DreamWorks,
Oh, shit, okay.
Whoa.
with a Steven Spielberg over at Universal. He takes all the knowledge and all those operation things that he's picked up over, 20 years at Disney at
Yeah.
that point, and just ups and leaves. And, all this happens over the course of a few weeks in 1994.
He's the David Letterman of Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
We need to discuss the situation and standing of Disney parks when Eisner comes in. And I kind of have a nice spread of...
There's two of them.
There's two of them. We have Tokyo Disneyland with 1983, so we have like 2 or 3 years before an Eisner shows up. And a Euro Disneyland, 1992, which is
7
about
years after.
several years after him being there.
Why them castles look different?
I know, I picked these pictures because they look the exact same, because anytime you have your Disneyland park, you just make a watered-down Disneyland. Like, maybe you don't have a Splash Mountain in this one, but we'll put a new ride, something there.
It's very funny. You could flip those pictures, and I would have been equally, like, you could have convinced me that the pink
Oh, yeah.
flowers on Euro Disneyland were cherry blossoms at Tokyo
absolutely.
Disney.
There were many Disney expansions leading up to right around 1980 to 1983. You had your Epcot coming into Florida, which offered what people called a glorified mall at first, but had potential and kind of appreciated its science. We're lucky with like a Pacific Science Center, but it has a Science Center vibe.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot of tomorrow and the rest of the world.
Or even
like,
another local reference for us, the Museum of Flight
Yeah.
is...
It works as an adequate Disney museum, and Epcot's not doing gangbusters, but it is doing well when it's come out.
It's something for East Coast families to do during their week in Orlando for Disneyland.
They have the land, especially in Orlando.
Disney World.
Yeah. Tokyo Disneyland is a special case. It is the only Disney park still in the entire world that is not fully controlled by the Walt Disney Company. It is like an 80-20 split between the Oriental Land Company and Disney. Japan's a special case in so many different things, and Disneyland is no fucking exception. In the sense of, because of their limited investment from the Walt Disney Company, they essentially got a Disneyland that they didn't really have to pay for.
All right.
But at the same time...
for the Japanese, sorry for the 2 nuclear bombs, but hey, free Disneyland.
Hey, you got a Disneyland. Why not?
Hey, sorry for the war crimes, but Disneyland for
And
free.
it goes over gangbusters. It's breaking records of amusement parks around the world at the time of its release. It is a watered-down Magic Kingdom Disneyland-style park, but it's bringing people in, it's getting people to buy merch, you're getting people traveling from other parts of the Pacific and Asia and what have you, going to Tokyo Disneyland.
Australia probably gets big numbers.
People who don't want to go to the United States to get a Disneyland now have an option.
Why would you? Our schools are shooting galleries, bruv.
Yeah. The only problem with that is Disney is not making as much money from a Tokyo Disneyland. They are effectively locked out of...
Well, they're making 20% of every dollar.
They are, but they are unhappy immediately when it's successful of the deal that they've made. It's something that was kind of held as a grudge and any sort of precondition of things for parks to come and other things. So we need to have more investment into this.
So they basically hedged their bets really hard building Tokyo Disneyland, we're only responsible for 20% of the
Yeah,
fucking
hands
overhead
off
and collateral here. But then it blows up, and they're like, oh, fuck, we only get 20% of the profits.
Exactly,
Okay.
100%. To contrast this with Euro Disney, Euro Disney is made, it's a huge deal. It's about like I think 30 minutes out of Paris.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I've driven past Europe, where Euro Disneyland was.
Disney company goes full fucking. We are funding all of this. We are getting all the return from it. We are going to make this the best Disneyland we've ever made. We're going to throw so much money into this. And when you know it, nobody likes this park.
Yeah.
It's from your workers who are going on strike to your like French reporters who call it like a cultural Chernobyl. It's an immediate bomb. They had an opening day set up for X amount of 200,000 people or whatever to show up, and like 50,000 show up, and that's the numbers going forward. Euro Disneyland is essentially a failure on all marks until our story ends. Throughout the 90s, it tried to get reinvented. It was called Disneyland. Euro Disneyland, and they changed it to Disneyland Paris sometime in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it got some expansion with like its own MGM Hollywood Studios, which I can't think of anything that like, I don't know, give the French something special, not something that's like been in 3 parks already and just, you've already discovered the decidingly American culture shock.
Yeah, Disney made
doesn't work. Like,
Disney
why are you doubling down?
Made an extremely poor choice by picking the one European country that hates Americans the absolute fucking most out of all countries in the European Union. Like, granted, there's a lot of countries in the EU that fucking hate us, deservedly so, but the French hate us the most.
But moving forward, there are a lot of plans after, almost immediately, a lot of these projects that I read up on do not pop up until Euro Disney opens. So it's the kind of thing where they were banking so much manpower and Imagineer fucking work into Euro Disney that a lot of these projects didn't pop up until it failed, and they were looking for a quick recoup of that money and to have another grand opening that could maybe work. One of these ideas...
This is in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Yeah. Disney's America was proposed. There was some land for sale that is about 30 to 40 minutes out of Washington and Virginia.
Okay.
And Disney, in the early 90s, immediately went, well, how about a second East Coast park? We could start with something small, see what works, heavily theme it.
It feels like Williamsburg, Virginia, all over again.
It's the kind of thing where like, oh, we'll have different eras of America innovation. We'll have ourselves like a fake airfield. We'll have like a Civil War, Revolutionary era. We'll have some of your famous buildings around Boston.
Really?
Yeah, but also rides. You can see to the right here, we kind of have like a Coney Island sort of thing going on with the roller coaster, Ferris wheel.
So they wanted to take what they failed at in Euro Disney of like castles are here, yada yada. Take that and bring it to America and do like the American experience.
Here's
like,
the past 200 something years
of America.
Here's the 200 something years of history within this country. It looks very colonial as you move left to right across the screen.
Yeah.
So you start off very colonial America, and then you
have
make
the
your way
baseball field
through
industrialized
industrialized America all the way to 1950s.
20th century.
Yeah. Cutoff point.
But you definitely have like Civil War, like wagon train shit going on. This is official concept art. This isn't some schmo on like
Dolly Parton might have stolen this idea for Dollywood.
Yeah, probably.
For her Civil War reenactment, medieval times.
But I mean, regardless, obviously, idea was protested right away because it's 90s and everyone's still... This is coming up right around when Pocahontas is coming out, and everyone kind of goes, we don't like the Disneyfication of American history. So throwing a Disney park just a stone's throw away from like actual museums and actual like
National
Mall, heritage sites, all this.
Williamsburg, Virginia, which is known to be like the spot on the East Coast you go to get to that colonial American little town of like everyone's playing a role. They're all the candlestick maker and the blacksmith and the whatever.
Oh yeah. This is something that was partially developed, but once they immediately got any sort of pushback from the public, they went, it's going to be like Euro Disney again. So this thing is an idea that pops up like 1992 to like 1994. But I love showing things that don't exist. So we're gonna have a slider 3 here. Next slide, please. Port Disney.
Is this Australia?
Port Disney, there was a small idea for a Disney port in Sydney, but that is not this. This is Long Beach. If you've ever been to LA,
What?
Long Beach sucks, and it's where they park all the
Yeah.
cruise ships and everything else. Disney had some proposals for some land in Long Beach. We see a really weird
Mom's side of the
model
family's from
down
Long
here.
Beach.
Yeah,
Shit blows.
yeah. But a Disney park that's 20 miles away from a Disneyland, give or take, something to ease that traffic, something to bring, they're trying to go hard on sort of we want a smaller park, but we want to theme it heavily.
We want it to be where Aquaman's from.
Yeah, we've already done
Yeah.
the castle 4 times. Okay,
Diminishing returns each time.
Okay, let's let people go wild. Let's find some stupid shit they can make. Let's outdo SeaWorld by 1,000 and make it SeaWorld Epcot. Why the fuck not? In fucking Long Beach. The worst idea. It's like throwing...
Out of any port or any shoreline to pick, why Southern California?
I will say
Again.
this: my mother's side of the family is my immigrant side of the family.
Yeah.
We clawed our way out of poverty enough in Scotland to make it to America, and we landed in Long Beach, and then we got the fuck out of Long Beach.
This is Eisner trying to put a stink on something. I am going to find somewhere in LA that I can put another amusement park. And he comes up with this idea of Westcot.
Oh god damn!
Westcot is effectively a West Coast Epcot.
It looks like like in the bottom
when,
left.
when did
picture.
Epcot get introduced?
Epcot was
Because
introduced...
I thought that was new.
Epcot was 1982, so it is still fairly new in your
Oh.
mid-90s.
Yeah,
give
it's
or
a
take.
decade old.
Yeah. But
Just put that
let's-
out there.
Yeah, put a pin in that, Zach. Put a big pin. Put a title pin in that.
Although I gotta say, it looks like this is some sort of like Disney Vegas venture for Long Beach, based off of that bottom left picture.
Oh, absolutely.
It looks like the Luxors. This looks like a new hey, we're turning Long Beach into the Disney Vegas Strip.
Westcott was immediately deemed, even by a unrestricted Eisner, as something that's going to be way too fucking expensive.
Yeah, you're paying
Even
LA real estate prices, and even in the 90s.
Well, we're gonna get to a map and we're gonna show you what Disney owned, and they planned on fitting this into the space they owned. But there were complaints of, if you're gonna have a big golf ball that lights up in the middle of the night, we're gonna have to say no. You already have a fireworks show every night and everything else.
Yeah, you already fuck up Anaheim's bullshit.
And it's worth noting, and we can flip between these two. This is from a time before pixels. It's I've done my research on this photo, my visual research. This is sometime in,
Yeah, they put up a guy in a helicopter and he drew this.
It's 1970s, 1980s Disneyland, but we pretty much have everything laid out. Everything in the yellow line Disney owns.
Mm-hmm.
You have some warehouses to the west here, or we're just gonna say left. You have a giant parking lot.
You also own Freedman Way. You own a whole fucking street.
Oh yeah, these
Leading
are
up to your other warehouses.
This little tumor are still like parking lots for employees and other
Yeah.
parking from provided by Disney for an extra charge for hotels in the area, sort of a deal.
Feels like with a name like Freedman Way, too, that was probably a black neighborhood of Anaheim that they just fucking purchased out of nowhere.
But yeah, to the south of Disneyland, you have a parking lot that spans. So, like, we're talking
That's
sport,
3 city blocks by the looks of
sports
it.
stadium
Bigger than
plus
sports,
a
man.
little bit.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you guys.
It's better than Seattle's parking situation for any of our stadiums.
Now, what percentage of people do you think that go to Disneyland are Southern California residents? Just ballpark. Just
10%.
10%?
10%.
3.
3%? It's estimated to be somewhere between 42 and 67%.
Oh shit. Okay.
From your 1950s all the way up to
So
about 2015 to today.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah. No, I mean my family also
Things dip. You know. But
no, until they moved out of LBC.
Yeah.
As Doc would say, my family had season tickets to Disneyland because it's that thing that's like, you know, we grew up on Command Island. It'd be like if there was this cool shit in Mount Vernon that you could have season tickets to take your kids to anytime you wanted them to shut the fuck up.
There are discounts right out of the gate from when park opening happens in the 50s for Southern California resident. Like, you get a discounted ticket, or you get a ticket that can work on 3 different days whenever you show up for one day. Rather than your one ticket, you know, sort of a deal.
If you were SoCal resident, you were getting deals.
So this parking lot, this massive monument to American architecture known as the parking lot, is there to mostly facilitate
locals.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, you have people vacationing in. Yes, they rent a car. This is the 70s. I'm sure it looked about the same in the 90s. But if you're staying at a hotel around Disneyland, mind you, this red line that's very kind of obscured in this image is a boundary in which hotels and everything can be had. You have residential on the other side of the freeway. You have a little triangle of hotels down here, a little square of hotels, a little square up north. But then once you get over here, this is all residential. Like Disney owns up to the boundary. Essentially, what can be classified as hotel land.
I've definitely stayed in that like little square that your mouse is currently like hovering.
Oh yeah,
in
this little half area. Yeah,
I think every time I've gone, I guess out of the 3 times I've been to Disneyland, probably 2 of those times I was staying in a hotel in that particular area where there's shitloads of public transportation, or you can just walk to Disneyland.
You can walk to Disneyland. There are sometimes trams, depending on even the era. There's trams going around this fucking giant block all day, just pulling people up to get them closer, as close as they can to the entrance. It's a question for you boys. It's a big question. Disneyland, costs a lot of money to operate, but essentially prints money from locals and tourists alike.
Yeah.
What if you built a second Mecca? What if...
Nobody has 2 Meccas.
What if you decided 40 feet south of your fucking theme park, you put in an identical, different theme park?
I also do want to point out that Medina, Saudi Arabia does exist, which is sort of second Mecca. I do just want to interject that, we're a bunch of crackers making this fucking thing. I do at least know that.
Okay.
To anyone who may come from the world of Islam who does know about other holy sites in Saudi Arabia, Medina does exist. But yes, a second Mecca, Disney's California Adventure.
Disney's California Adventure is
Mr. President.
Mr. President.
A second Disneyland has hit Anaheim.
This is the theme of today's episode. It's not a very exciting theme for not a very exciting park.
You know what?
Kind of fun, yeah.
I can argue that California Adventure is pretty fun because you can drink there.
Disney's California Adventure is a brainchild of an idea out of Michael Eisner.
I like it.
Because at some point when he's vacationing with family in California, he goes, a lot of tourists come to California and make Disneyland one of their spots. What if we made all of California in the space it takes to fill a parking lot?
So to take away all of California tourism to go to
let's go wild with it. Estimated 50% of the people coming in. Estimated 60% of the people coming in
are out-of-staters.
Let's flip the graph and go the other way, where it's a safer bet to make a fake California in the middle of California.
Doesn't it kind of replicate like Las Vegas doing these themes?
Well, that's
like
the thing.
Hotel
You
themes?
don't go to a Las Vegas hotel that replicates the streets of Las Vegas in the hotel. Like,
true.
I would.
You
but
go.
It'd be fucking hilarious.
This is the fucking night at the Roxbury, where the inside is
theme
the outside.
in New York.
That makes sense. If you put California in New York or New York in California, that's one thing. But if you put California in California... Like,
Arguably, Las Vegas did both. There's a New York casino and the gold rush, so
Yeah.
they did it both ways.
but I mean, that works because you're Las Vegas. You're completely different,
Yeah.
Your own little tourist hub.
You're a shithole in the middle of the desert.
A thing to note, and still exists, your single-day passes and your park hopper tickets.
Yeah.
If we're all versed in our Disneyland lore.
I know that
mean,
much. I didn't know e-ticket.
The dollar amount really, inflation changes with the times, everything else. But typically, your park hopper ticket is about 170% of your day ticket. Immediately, because you had to buy separate day tickets or a park hopper to go to this land of California once you're already in California.
Sorry, when was this opened?
2001.
I missed
Yeah.
that part.
Oh,
What's
February 2001.
Right before those towers came
And-
down.
Oh, a great year for tourism.
I felt like it was a pretty new, like after I had been to Anaheim to go to Disneyland, the only time I've been there was like 1998, I want to say.
Yeah, my first time
And
my first time in California Adventure was December of 2005. So
See,
4 years in.
We, right around 2000, 2001 was when my sister had gymnastics meets that went outside of the state.
Yeah.
So I got lucky. I feel like I witnessed a piece of history because I got to witness 2001
California Adventure?
California Adventure. I believe we flew in like October or November of
Okay.
2001. And because we already had
Is that what sparked your family's like love for Disney to go? Was
No,
being
they
part
went
of
a
the
couple
grand opening?
times. My dad took his parents in the 90s with like my family.
Wait, he flipped the script and took his parents to Disneyland?
He took his parents to Disneyland.
What a G.
That's a pretty fucking... Yeah,
Yeah.
Richard Olmeyer.
Richard,
Plus 3 points
I
in
get my
book.
Disney love from my dad.
Yeah,
My dad
I
loved
knew
Disney
that.
so much.
Really?
Yeah.
I did know that Richard Olmeyer is the
It's not
epicenter.
organic.
Yeah.
I've inherited it from him because he gets excited about the same stupid shit I get excited about. But look at this entrance. Thank God if you
it's
have a...
fantastic.
I apologize, Zach, you have a Z name, but, in Taylor with a T name, but, if you got some of these letters, you could sit in front of it, make a nice gold photo if you're like an Alex or Kaylee.
And
or,
you can't crop
Ignacio.
this to be perverted or anything like that, right? You can't take a photo and be like, it says porn or something like that,
Yeah.
The Photoshop you
it's
could. But...
It's a good thing.
I mean, I guess they're there, but I've always viewed those just barriers to getting into California Adventure. Like, fuck, I gotta
They
write
weren't
the
there for
letter.
long. So here we have the original entrance, the 2001 entrance to California Adventure. As it opened, it looks like a postcard. It's super cute with their letters going 3D. It's a tile
what?
mosaic. That's supposedly when it was made, it was the largest in the world. They made
This
a big...
isn't a picture. Sorry, I'm really dumb. Is this not a picture?
This is a...
No, it's
This
a
is
painting.
a picture, but the mountains is behind you. This is a bad 2001 digital camera picture, but this is the best picture of the entrance I could find.
Oh, so this is just like shit sticking up outside of the ticket booth? This isn't the park itself?
Is the sky real?
It is the sky real.
Okay, Sky...
Where are the
That's
cloud
the name of the
giants?
podcast. Is the sky real?
Wow, the image is really working on you guys. Sky, real. It's a bad quality digital photograph from the early 2000s.
Yeah, it's in 60.
Sky, real. Trees, real. Letters are like 8
They're
foot,
real.
9 foot statues. You have your entrance booths real, floor real, but these mountains are mosaics.
This is such a shitty picture. I honestly thought
Where
that
do
was
they
the
end?
park.
Where are they
I
attached
knew-
to the?
Okay, fair enough. I did know there's a stupid mountain for Brother Bear in there somewhere.
It's hidden behind the world's biggest mural.
Okay.
They made it look. They changed this. They got rid of this because they spent way too much money on it.
Is the Ferris wheel the actual fucking
proving my
stupid Ferris wheel, or is that a part of the mosaic?
That is a thing that I don't have a picture of. It looks like a decoration you would find, and many had reported on rating it as like, what's this mall like fountain art doing here? And it's some fountain art that looks like a sun behind this fake Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, I interpreted
Wait,
that as...
is the Golden Gate Bridge painted or is that?
That
real
is a
thing?
physical thing. That's a track that the monorail rides on. Jesus Christ, boyos.
But
I've never been,
The
I've
sun
never
looks
been.
like the Ferris wheel that's effectively
Oh,
in the dead center of
that's it.
California Adventure.
Well, we're going to get to that, Taylor, because the layout of this park is a fucking... Already, with with the entrance, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Disneyland kind of hides itself. You have to get into Disneyland in essence to kind of see, get your reveal of a main street and a castle. California Adventure puts it all out in basically 2D at the entrance from only one angle.
Yeah, it throws.
This is millions of dollars spent so this looks good from one angle. You have an entrance.
I've seen that before.
You have essentially, in the yellow here, like a mall food court. You got your fucking Brother Bear Mountain.
It's more your
log flume.
natural majesty of California area.
Yeah. You have your Hollywood area over here.
That's where your Tower of Terror is. My favorite
Not
ride.
yet.
Well, okay.
Not for a couple years.
Well, in 2005, that's where the Tower of Terror was.
Oh yeah, no, this park got better, but the bones of it are broken already.
Sure.
This park opens with limited attractions, whole lot of restaurants. It's a food court that has a roller coaster with a loop, a big old like
Screaming California, right?
Yeah, California's Screaming. It's now called the Incredicoaster. It got a rebrand.
Oh, bullshit.
And that's the thing. This whole park,
it's a pretty fun roller coaster.
It's okay.
I mean,
I like the launch. It's fun that it has a loop. But the failure of Disney's California Adventures, there's not a whole lot to do there once you get there. No matter how many attractions there are.
Unless you're looking to eat and drink and celebrate aviation.
That's about it. You have 3 main rides at this whole park. You have a roller coaster that does a loop. You got a river rafting ride that
becomes the Brother Bear ride.
Well, it's not even.
Or was the Brother Bear ride?
Never
You're
Brother.
really amped for this Brother Bear ride, dude.
It was never Brother Bear themed. There is a playground adjacent to it that is Brother Bear themed.
This ride.
I can understand the confusion. This map here is a 2001 map, and I apologize, Zach. I apologize if this looks like absolute dick shit. A big part of the marketing is, hey, we got a hotel that has its own entrance into the park. Effectively, dare I say, cuts into what you can put in the park. Because you can't put a fucking screaming roller coaster right up next to some $1,000 a night hotel's windows. But you're cutting into what you can actually room to add to your park. Half of your park is dedicated to a wine tasting and like a Wolfgang Puck restaurant and
Let's go.
And like a river rafting ride that's mediocre at best.
It's all right.
Your Disneyland California Adventure here is effectively, well, we got to do a boardwalk with a roller coaster and some rides. Okay, we got to do something like the Grandeur of California with like, okay, we'll throw a Soarin' in a theater there, which is your ride down in your bottom right where you just sit
Was that from the get-go?
That was from the get-go.
Okay.
It's Soarin' over the world now. I think they brought over California sometime, but
you still get the 4DX experience of citrus, right?
Oh yeah, they still spray
thank
citrus
Christ.
in your
Thanks
face.
Christ.
Yeah. No. It's in any lesser parks. I mean, I feel like I'm looking at early, Wizarding World or shit like that. In any other parks, these are 3 solid rides. But this is a disappointment if this is what you're going to for the same price day for day at Disneyland.
But I mean, the park
just
hopper,
for the sake of it being new.
But the park hopper pass allows you to fuck around here for the 2 or 3 hours, and then you go to Disneyland.
But with a park hopper, you're effectively buying 80% of a ticket to California Adventure already. So I mean, bang for your buck, not worth it. In your opening in your 2001. Here in essence we have your Paradise Pier. Cost saving measures. You can see the theming is sort of your Coney Island / your whatever boardwalk.
Atlantic City.
Yeah, your Santa Monica Pier type, like, hey, we threw some roller coasters next to the water and some other things. We desperately need to talk about how every single thing in this image has been changed by now.
Okay.
Theme-wise...
Right, because Mickey Mouse's face is somewhere.
Even the up-down ride?
The up-down ride, the Maliboomer, is a
What?
It's one of those rides that shoots you up. You get some hang time, launches you down, shoots you up again. Honestly, I tried to look up where this ride was sold to, and it said undisclosed, so we don't know.
Oh shit! This
some
is
so like some Saudi prince is having the
Yeah.
time of their life on one of these.
this is the Sultan of
But it's
Brunei's
a-
personal fucking slingshot ride.
And it's something that I feel like I covered in the last roller coaster episode, but I mean to talk to you boyos again about it. Some rides that you buy for your amusement park are off the shelf. They're prefabs.
Sure.
And
Era.
some rides, if you have the money and the space, you make a ride that fits that space. As you can tell, your roller coaster is definitely custom made to fit that space. That's not a whole lot of theming on it, but you got something to at least fill out that bottom corner. Your sun wheel here.
Ferris wheel. This is 150, 20
It's
plus year old
a
technology. at
Special
this
name.
point.
Well, it's the type of Ferris wheel it is with the
Inner ring.
Your inner
Yeah.
rings that your cars can go around has a special name, and it's not a prefab. It's the only other ride in this picture that is not prefabricated or off the shelf. Your Maliboomer was essentially a ride that was
Yeah.
sold to Knott's Berry Farm,
Okay.
about 20 miles north of Disney, about 10 years before this park is made, and they went, well, we could have a tower just like that, and it essentially bought like the one size down version.
So wait. So Disneyland did it.
Wow.
California Adventure did the Tower of Terror, and we don't need the Maliboomer anymore. Let's sell it to Knott's Berry Farm to.
No.
Unveil-
Quite opposite. We need rides to fit in this place, and we don't have the budget to make big stuff. So we are going to set space aside in the park. We are going to put in these prefabricated rides, and we're going to try to emulate what somebody could get at a Knott's Berry Farm
Or Universal
or
Studios.
Universal
Yeah.
with your we need a big themed river rafting ride to mimic your Jurassic Park, which opened up only a handful of years. California Adventure opened.
Less than a decade, yeah.
Another prefabricated ride we have here is the Orange Singer, and we will get more pictures on that later. But again, it's an attempt at theming. It's a ride that's hidden in a big orange.
And it doesn't smell like orange,
Okay.
just like California.
California
does.
I think they sprayed orange scent and
Did they?
and
Okay.
honey.
I don't
from
think
what I heard and from what I read.
I don't think I ever rode it.
But it's bland theming. You tell me this is Disneyland. It's anywhere else. It's a distinct kind of lack of theming. The reason that Westcott didn't get made and California Adventure got made was because a lot of investors were afraid that Westcott, much like what Epcot kind of grew out of, it was going to feel like a glorified mall with no distinct theming. I hold Disney to a certain expectation on when it comes to theming and presentation.
It's just extra
They'll-
Disneyland.
eventually, over the years, they'll slap Pixar character fucking painting shit
Yeah,
like
you
that.
get your cars, your Bugs Life.
They'll give it a fresh coat of paint and throw something on there, and it's it's themed, and it's I can buy it now. Okay, cool, whatever. But when
But you weren't into it just being a bland theme park?
it's something that I didn't mind when I was a kid, but it's something that I've thought of in my return visits. It's just something that I look at it and I just see the cheapness. Off the shelf rides as well. Here's a better look at your Maliboomer on the right. On your left, they had a Wild Mouse roller coaster that again was a off the shelf prefabricated, what have you, that they stuck in a corner.
roller
called-
coaster in a box.
basically,
sort of thing, yeah.
an erector set for fun.
Nah.
Rector. I don't
Malibu.
really know her.
I think they called this one Mulholland Madness. It's still there. It's called Goofy Sky School, and they threw up fresh coat of paint, threw up some cardboard cutouts of Goofy because you can't really theme this to. You can't really break too much outside the box.
I might have ridden this when I was already the drunk had set in.
It's nobody's favorite roller coaster. When I go to Disneyland, yeah, roller coaster's a lot of fun. Any roller coaster's fun. This is something I would see at Wild Waves. And the only thing it has is we threw some stop signs on it because I guess you're in a car going down Mulholland Drive. I don't know.
Did I tell you guys I recently went to the Six Flags?
The
Over Texas?
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where the.
And I
How was
rode a
that?
bunch of the rides, mainly the DC themed rides, like Mr. Freeze, the Joker. There's a Batman ride. All the main attractions were shut down for the day because it was like a thunderstorm was coming through.
Can I try and do my drunk party trick and name the Six Flags over Texas?
Yeah, you know?
Spain, number 1.
Yep.
France, number 2.
Oop.
Texas, number 3.
What?
Mexico, number 4. The United States, number 5, and
the
Stars and Bars of the Confederacy, number 6. I did it, folks. I remember the Six Flags over Texas.
All I can picture is the bald guy in the glasses dancing.
Yeah, the Venga bus is coming.
Yeah. Dude, Six Flags is pretty cool. Good roller coasters. Anyway.
Great amusement parks. Definitely better than this piece of shit.
Silverwood.
Silverwood's
I
a
would
better
argue,
amusement park than this.
For a Washingtonian perspective.
You get everything you wanted at Silverwood.
You get a big-ass wooden roller coaster.
You get a big wooden roller
Makes
coaster.
you shit your dick out.
Maybe you get some metal roller coasters to have some loops.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, you get another, like, hey, it's a water ride. It's got some drops, but
there
nothing
is
too
a
wild.
themed ride based off the movie Tremors as well at a Silverwood.
Yeah. That has more theming than this.
The California Adventure.
Yeah.
Time and money.
I'd be down to go anywhere. Next slide. I'd be, here again. Here's that big orange. It's a bunch of swings. It's called the Orange Stinger. The actual ride.
Wow.
This is not in Disneyland Upper Right and
No, Upper
left.
Right is not Sperry's Farm. It's the same exact.
yeah.
It's the exact same setup. The only difference is
the packaging is just a little different.
Yeah. And I mean,
So behind it, there's a hotel right behind it.
Oh, yeah.
That's the Brother Bear Hotel.
no, that's actually a Disneyland hotel.
That's the Brother Bear Hotel.
That's not the
That's
brother.
the Brother
Brother
Bear
Bear Hotel would be right about like 200 feet. I will admit, Zach, have you ever been to California Adventure?
No.
I've been twice.
Okay, Zach. Well, one, if you can't tell, I apologize. You're not missing out on much.
I'd argue you're
It's
missing
gone-
out.
that's
it's
your
gone
word.
better.
It looks pretty cool.
You're missing out on one of my favorite rides in all of Disneyland.
But I will admit, going there,
At the ESPN zone.
going there after you're 21 is a whole new experience just because of alcohol being at Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
I played it conservatively. I'm with my folks, but I had a beer, like a stout with something, and Disneyland gets 100 times more fun.
Now put 4 of them in you.
I know. I know. I don't care. This is any ride, any shitty prefabricated ride will still be the best
And
ride
granted,
ever.
whether they be stouts or IPAs, you put 4 of them in, you're in $60 on the day.
Oh, 60.
sure.
You're at 85 probably. So, other things you can do.
I don't remember any of this.
No, because
There's
this
a fucking cow.
was gone by the time you eventually
4
went.
years later, yeah.
So, if we can go back, just oh so gracefully to our map, we have a large sit-down area. You essentially enter the park. There's somewhat of a roundel. There's not like a castle to draw your attention. There is a big mountain.
That's where they get you if it's your birthday, though, that roundel there.
Yeah. Where were we? Zach, I apologize.
That cow and those tractors.
That
There we
cow,
are, yeah.
Them tractors.
With the cows.
There's so much space that they do not know what to do and have not procured the funds for to make this park, because this was hanging good old Eisner out to dry.
This was his big swing.
This was his big swing, and the board essentially went, okay, you're going to do it in about 60% of the budget you have. Make best what you do. Not to prop up an Eisner on this, but it's like, well, okay, we need sponsorship, so Caterpillar, we'll throw some Caterpillar. We have a big open spot. We'll throw down some planters. We'll put some fake tomatoes and have a cat.
It was literally while they're bulldozing and putting stuff up, they're like, "Oh, Caterpillar, huh?
It's
Yeah.
You
devious.
can get a discount on this
And this
service
is
if I
huge.
give you a little Caterpillar town."
I cannot underestimate. I mean, we can go back to an overhead map. This is eventually when they turned it into a Bugs Life area, just right to that big
Yeah.
red X. But it's a large section of the park that they're just like, Fuck it. We ran out of money.
California's
I'm sorry.
agricultural history.
I'm sorry. Yeah, agriculture. We'll throw some like lemon and orange trees and a caterpillar. Hey, buy a caterpillar. Hope you get some like film from a
you know what?
stand that looks like a caterpillar.
It's deviously fucking brilliant because it's people who've they've either already gone to 2 to 3 days at Disneyland. Now they're going to California Adventure, but ostensibly they got their kids with them, and we're the generation that got targeted with the fucking video series of like, hey, you got a kid that likes trains? Here's 90 minutes of train B-roll. You like trucks? There's 90 minutes of trucks and fire truck B-roll. And so if you're a kid that's rolling through California Adventure for a couple of days at Disneyland, and then you see, oh, that's a big version of the Caterpillar toy I have at home, I'm gonna be pretty excited about it. Even though it's like a low effort bullshit fucking thing to put in a park.
It reminds me of the fucking what was the novel about the University of Washington where they got like prostitutes to act
Sons of the Prophets by William Speedell of the Seattle
it's
PI.
It's kind of like, dressing up prostitutes to act as, to visually inflate your population. You are visually inflating the space you have because you don't have enough money to fill it with anything cool.
You're churching it up.
But at the same time, on the other foot, Disneyland has been lacking sort of just a quiet space off the main path as things get more and more cramped in any of the parks. Mm-hmm. A quiet space where you can just look at some fake cows.
Caterpillars.
I don't know. Another spot filler. We did this. This experience only lasted...
What's my weight in tortillas?
This experience... only lasted until about 2003 or 4.
I mean, I'd imagine my weight in tortillas would be 316 pounds, according to my scale this morning.
But they tell you in however many tortillas, so I don't know, that may be 4,000.
It's a lot. It's several thousand tortillas. I'm a big man.
That's a lot of tortillas.
I'm a lot of tortillas. Even if I get down to my ideal weight, that's still a lot of tortillas.
So, every 90 minutes, much like you're getting on like a Pirates of the Caribbean,
I figure out how many tortillas I am,
or a Haunted Mansion, you could go on the Mission Tortilla Factory tour. And this is something that I did.
This is classic-ass Disney, though. And so it only makes sense that, yes, in a new venture where everything is monetizable, you find a way to, like, incorporate brands into your shit.
Oh, yeah, no, exactly. I mean, a lot of these were just sort of, it's somewhat hard to tell from the outside, but this is a hastily created structure to just sort of give people a 90-minute tour of how a tortilla goes from, like...
A 90-minute tour?
A 90-minute tour.
Wow.
From out... I found that recently, and I was like, I think that might be why I remember it. If it was a 30-minute tour, I'd be like, nah, I never did this shit.
I've been on...
But no, I know I did.
For a tortilla, I've been on the...
You get one tortilla!
I've been on the Guinness tour in St. James Gate, Dublin, and it's 90 minutes, and beer is much harder to make than tortillas.
It's a very long... It takes you from history of, like...
Corn
cultivation.
Of corn?
You get a Disney-fied, like here are our indigenous Americans using corn to make a
Here's
tortilla.
our Pueblo people, yeah.
And then you get the Disneyfication of stepping into Willy Wonka's tortilla factory.
Hey, you got Rick, who's like about 350, handing you one fresh, like, 0.8 cent cost tortilla.
I wanted to have multiple slides on this because they did, and it was something I went, oh, I remember that. They have, like, wonderful dishes in a fake restaurant. When you walk in, like a Sherry's, where like they'll have a fake,
the fake pies, yeah, the fake pie case, okay,
yeah. They'll have like a stand with glass and like, here's our fake desserts, and you think the entire
at a tortilla
time,
restaurant,
yeah, like, hey, we fried these.
Do they just have a bunch of sopapillas in the display case?
Yes, the most delicious sopapillas you could ever imagine. They're fake. And you can't buy any of them the entire tour.
What?
So for a husky kid like me, which that's another thing. California Adventure at this time and even afterwards is so many restaurants.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, pay more money. You're at other Disneyland.
There's so
Like,
many more
hey-
food carts too. You can get all your Disney classics at a California Adventure with
Yeah.
like 1/8 the weight
Yeah.
for your churro, your corn dog, your turkey leg, all that
But
shit's there.
almost like, you feel like you're
Your Dole Whip.
You feel like you're scamming the company when you're like, I could wait 90 minutes and, maybe I'll have some access to these nice desserts.
These fat fucking corn dogs.
Some sort of dessert. One tortilla is passed to you and you exit the Mission Tortilla Factory.
I've been
forevermore.
hammered at like 2 o'clock in the morning. A tortilla by itself is not all that great. It'll help sop up some of that alcohol, but it's not a great meal. So they just
By
give you
itself? In just one?
just a tortilla with no peanut butter, no cheese,
nothing.
no
Nothing.
deli meats into a drunken wrap.
No, cold guts?
Nothing. Just plain ass tortilla passed to you while you're wearing a fucking shoulder bag. Like,
Yeah.
it's the best
Is
they
that
can
like
do.
a Krispy Kreme? Like where they just give you a...
Oh,
when
absolutely.
When
But
it's
the only
fresh off
diff-
the belt.
Yeah, but the only difference is you can buy those donuts right there as well.
You
Hey,
just
you're
get the
telling
one
me
tortilla.
that this is just...
You can't buy an 8-pack?
There are no souvenirs. There are no, like... There's,
They only
can
produce
go-
the one tortilla?
I can go to any Hagen across Western Washington State, and I can buy a 24-pack of Mission tortillas. But
no-
you're telling me I can't buy any at the Disneyland?
Taylor, honey, we've been here already for a couple hours. We've seen everything we can see in this godforsaken theme park. This will take 90 minutes, and you'll get one tortilla out of it.
Wow.
For a group of like 20. They made 20 tortillas every hour and a half, I guess.
The cushiest fucking job in the world.
Yep. I thought it was worth noting. It's a
This is literally just a ride. Like a tour
Yes.
ride.
it was
I've done factory tours before. Oh shit! Like I said.
Oh, but you've
like,
never done any fake Disney factory tours?
You've
Like-
never done a fake Disney factory
At
tour?
least when I
where
went
it's just-
to the Guinness tour or the Jameson tour in Dublin, I got a pint of Guinness or a fucking rocks glass of Jameson at the end of it. I could get a fucking single tortilla with nothing to fill it with.
And you didn't get shamed with how much tortillas you
Yeah, they didn't say how many pints of Guinness my fat ass was at the time.
Oh, good shit. Next slide. So, there's also carnival games. These still exist in some form or fashion.
I do remember these from both trips.
To complete your boardwalk theme, I guess. Your evolving...
Your carnival, your Americana carnival theme. Very Coney Island at its core.
You're getting
but-
hustled feeling.
yeah.
It's a weird kind of scummy to me. Because you could set up a gift shop and achieve the same exact thing from people that want to pay money. But
Still take
why
their
not?
money from them, yeah.
Still, we'll take, it's 3 balls for $2. It's only $2. Yeah, I know you spent $100 to get here, like $180 on a day hopper.
Yeah.
Like, how much time you want to waste throwing balls at a thing?
You're only going to spend like 3 hours here, and
Yeah, that's like
15
1/8
minutes
of,
of
a
it's-
turkey leg, or a martini. Like, nah. Throw some more money at us. Also, I like Jerry here in her fucking just Canadian Jerry, just all
yeah,
dead.
that's a full Canadian tuxedo.
Tuxed out.
There's a
tuxed
there's a
out.
denim lung sleeve inside that jacket.
Tucked in, yeah.
Another thing,
Who wants to be a millionaire?
they threw that in the Hollywood section. That was the big draw for a bit before they started showing like Broadway shows in there.
What?
When do
I
they?
went on this. I don't mean to keep on beating the point in, but outside of a few rides, in an overall,
Dog, you can't take a picture.
no dog.
A complete copy of the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Play It official rules is available upon request at Guest Relations. So I gotta like get my ass up out of my seat of the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Play It experience and walk like a quarter mile to Guest Relations to get the rules to this game.
I don't know because when I when I participated in this game, because this is not the Hyperion Theater where they do a lot of where I saw Aladdin and some other fucking
They do a lot
shows.
of Disney classics.
They do,
I do remember
but
that.
this is right around there where this only existed for a short while because by 2001, it's hard to believe we're this old. By 2001,
Yeah.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was old news.
Yeah, that shit. Like
No
the
way.
millionaire already happened in 1998, 1999. The first
Yeah.
guy who won. So old news by the time California Adventure rolls out in the fall of 2001.
Yeah.
But also certain quote-unquote restricted individuals,
I
as
know, right?
defined in the official rules, such as Disney cast members, operating participant employees, and production personnel, are not eligible to occupy the hot seat or win prizes.
The funny thing, because rule 1 is you can only win prizes if you're in the hot seat.
And you also don't win guests will play for points, not dollars. Winning unique prizes. Only hot seat game players are eligible to win prizes.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Play it! is
Play it! Kathy, we're gonna play it!
it's a goofy experience, but again, it's a show they do that takes like 2.5 hours. So you're in line
That's a smart
about
fucking move.
2.5 hours.
That's a smart move. Put a fucking game show
For-
experience in there.
Oh yeah. It's a good time waster, but again, it's like the plastic cows in the farm. It's a little late.
No one's
like,
becoming a millionaire. Who wants to be a millionaire? Play it!
I looked up what the
Play it!
prizes are.
Okay. What happens if I effectively became a millionaire in points?
Okay, if you became a millionaire in points, not only do you get a bunch of merch that says, "Hey, here's how many points I made before I was eliminated."
I get to flex on fellow Disney guests.
You win like an all expense like 3-day Disney cruise,
Oh shit! Okay.
sort of a deal.
Wait, a 3-day cruise? That's like what? Like Los Angeles to San Diego?
Well, like
Yep.
like I assume that's like some sort of Florida, like they go around one Bahama island and then
You get to go
turn.
around the Key West.
Yeah.
Yeah,
From Orlando to Tampa.
yeah. It's something like that, or you could win like a New York trip to watch the actual like to be. Hey, please be in our show that's failing. You know, hey, we'll send you to go be in the audience.
I could be part of the
for a
studio audience of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, not play it.
Yeah, the real one.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know. Dumb time wasters, but at the same time,
Smart.
like,
I mean, if you can keep people in the park for 2.5 hours doing this one thing, and then they spend the other 3 hours doing everything else, you feel like you effectively spend a day in a park and you got your money's worth.
I guess so, but I don't know.
It's clever. It's not good. It's
cheesy.
clever.
It's something. It's all we are witnessing all the spaghetti thrown at the wall. I
Yeah.
don't know, show business. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Like,
Regis, how much does it cost to fly? Wait, that's not even Regis. Who
No.
the fuck is that?
it's just a Disney employee sitting across from
It's
you.
just a guy?
You thought they would get Regis?
Maybe.
No.
Taylor, no.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was on
Were
ABC.
these rules not a clue? They're scraping by for money.
This was a daily thing,
These
though,
rules
right?
are a cry for help.
They never got Regis once.
The only Regis you're gonna see is the black and white photo on the outside. Early 2000s are really a fun time.
What the fuck is this AI art?
Whoa.
You son of a bitch.
This is
That's Drew Carey. That's motherfucking Drew Carey.
I have an announcement.
Hey, you guys want to come to the Temple of Doom?
Hey, I host The Price is Right now.
This is a ride also in the Hollywood area called Superstar Limo.
Is that Drew Carey?
Yes.
Oh, called it.
Got it.
Sorry.
Is that Ryan Stiles then? Bellingham's own Ryan Stiles? That's the guy that's in that lower right-hand corner? I presume.
That is Jackie Chan. That is one Jackie.
That's Jackie. That's Jonathan Chan?
That's Jonathan Chan.
That's Jackson Channington.
That is not. That's David Koechner in the top right.
That's a puppet. That's a sleazy Hollywood producer. No affiliation with good old Eisner, but
That's played by an early, desperate, down on his luck David Koechner.
it's a puppet. It's like a hand puppet. This ride is one of the pieces that is wholeheartedly a brainchild of Eisner.
This is his this
This
is his
is
passion project of California
This
Adventure.
is his Pirates of the Caribbean. We're like, okay, I got to sell California in a ride.
That
So,
Jackie Chan is dog shit.
like, what do? It's a slow ride.
Drew
where
Carey,
you
pretty
see-
good.
You see multiple different stars ranging from like an Antonio Banderas to a
Drew
Cher,
Carey to Jackie Chan.
Drew Carey, Jackie Chan, Tim Allen.
Oh yeah, they had his ass by
Oh,
the
yeah,
balls
they
at that
had,
point.
They had Santa Claus money at
Well,
that
not only did they have Santa Claus money, they had Toy
They
Story
had
money.
Toy Story
and
dollars.
Home Improvement was a
He's getting
TGIF
Yeah.
ABC show. So Disney fully owned this man. Soul, body, spirit,
Everything.
mind.
So he makes a darkroom ride where you're riding in a car and you're going about 2 miles per hour. You actually go like slower.
Haunted Mansion?
No, it's slower than Haunted Mansion.
I don't believe that.
But you,
Fucking hate Haunted Mansion.
I love the Haunted Mansion so much. It feels like something that like a neighbor's like, hey, yeah, I worked on the Seattle like haunted house dark ride, and it's a bunch of there's a Kurt Cobain zombie.
I did
and
the
hey,
Haunted Forest for Kiss 106.1 Freak Nights.
Yeah, here.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's Kiss, but like they're Frankenstein, and I modeled it the best I could, and just it doesn't move. It's just there.
It's David Koechner. Or
Cardboard
Bad
setup.
Jackie Chan. 6 months.
It made it about 6 months before it was closed down permanently.
Where was this in the park? Could you tell me?
This was in the yada yada yada. What do you prefer the map? This is in the Hollywood area. So if you were to go in and then you have your theater here and your eventual Tower of Terror.
Yeah.
Over here, it would have been in.
Oh, this is where you get churros.
It's a Monsters Inc. ride. If you remember seeing that.
Oh,
now.
okay. So the Monsters Inc. ride supplanted this
Yeah.
bullshit.
I feel like Eisner kind of hung out to dry. Like, yeah, no, your idea is great. How much money we got? 30 grand? Cool. No, we got this. Like, and then 2 weeks before the park's supposed to open, like, yeah, it's all kind of done out of cardboard. It looks good, but it's like, we did the best we could with, we tried to go, it's a small world.
I would
but
love
look like
to
ugly.
take 2 hits of acid and have gone on this ride.
Because you wouldn't be going fast at all. You'd just be.
No, the 1 mile per hour would be just my speed.
Just chill.
I shout
Not too much, maybe.
Shout out to all the SoCal residents who took 2 hits of acid and went on this ride. You're unofficial members of this podcast.
So, that's pretty much California Adventure in a nutshell.
I've seen this wall.
And then
Twice.
This picture kind of encapsulates a lot for me because it's like it's a sidewalk. You can't really tell where this is, and it leads to a billboard that says California on it. Kind of shows you, gives you it tells, it doesn't show.
2 times a decade apart, I found this wall looking for an exit to California Adventure. To try and find my way to an ESPN zone. And I've been thwarted by this wall.
It's hollow. It's a theme park without an identity. If you have that land, you can do something fun with it. Why not extend Disneyland all throughout? Why not make Mega Disneyland and change up the entrance? Like, what are you losing?
It was noticing market trends. They noticed that they could have used land dedicated to a parking lot.
Yeah.
Could have been a theme park. So it's targeted at out-of-staters predominantly.
So I'm basically framing this episode around the 2001 opening to, let's say, 2004. This park doesn't have a whole lot to offer for that. So it's almost like a when it comes to attendance, this park does not crack 1/3 of Disneyland's for its entire operation till present day. When this park opens, there's no nightlife. That's another big complaint.
You go to Disneyland for the night shows.
There's not a lot to do for kids. That's something we I should have noted with you got like a junior.
Other than the Princess Breakfast.
Other than the Princess Breakfast. Eventually, Carousel was put in.
Bugs Life, Cars. Yeah,
As you
it
can
comes
see,
along.
This
over
is
15 years.
This is almost a good place to start the aftermath of this, because we're kind of jumping ahead, because you, Taylor, and I, we both know what this park kind of became, and it's not as bad as this, but
No.
this is a stumble for me. Like, why would you make a California-themed park in California? It makes no sense to me.
That's an Eisner with some sort of Disney.
That's...
I can see it in his face. He's not from the loins of Walter Disney, but he is a Disney.
He's trying so hard to be a Disney. This is Roy E. Disney. This is the man who got Eisner his job.
This is Walter Disney's nephew.
This is Walter Disney's nephew. This is also the guy who didn't like Jeffrey Katzenberg and eventually caused him to go off and make cajillions of dollars making a Shrek,
The Shrek Empire.
a Kung Fu Panda, all that shit. Disney lost somebody that, could have just
Been a cash cow for them.
Oh, absolutely, as some sort of development lead. It didn't take long. This graph, whatever, share prices, whatever, but I did like that this kind of starts all the way back when Eisner is kind of hired in 1985. Also, I mean, stock value used to be whatever, but this was the best indicator I could find of like, hey, things are going good, things be shaky when you reach 2000, and then when 2001 hits, you have a park that's underperforming. You're still paying off Euro Disney. You have giant ass bombs like Treasure Planet and Atlantis on your hands, which were both at their respective times the most expensive animated movies ever made.
Mm-hmm.
It seems wild in,
At least they didn't
$23, but when you're spending like $50-60 million on an animated movie and it's not making even half of that back.
This is the quantum mania of its time.
For every single one of them, you have a Lilo and Stitch. Stupid amount of money, but again,
You have a fucking Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
That brings in stupid amounts of fucking money.
Yeah.
On this thing that you've completely discounted and forgotten about on basic cable on Disney Family.
There's lots of other failures involved. There was an attempt at like an ABC family network.
That's what Disney Family became before it became like Disney XD. There was like an ABC Family, or Disney Family, then an ABC Family, then a Disney XD, then some bullshit that it is now.
Regardless, it's when you're the figurehead of the company and you start really backing some ideas that just aren't working out. Eisner was all about a Treasure Planet. Don't know about Atlantis, but he was all about no, this is gonna be the biggest thing ever. We need
Treasure Planet. They spent some money to get Styx's "Come Sail Away" as their trailer song.
Well, yeah,
you
had to compete with a Titan AE that came out.
That had Creed's "Take Me Higher" as a song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The man who got Eisner the job, Roy E. Disney, eventually being head of the board, connived his way to get Eisner to peacefully resign from Disney in 2005. I've read some things where Eisner is just, you could take it either way. He just goes I don't want none of the perks. I don't want the office space in your Burbank studios. I don't want access to the private jet anymore. Here's my fucking whatever.
I've made
hotels.
so many tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I can live comfortably in Cali for the rest of my
If you're making
for four
me,
generations of my family.
If the boards make me resign, I'm leaving Disney, and I'm never showing my face. He pops up in the parks every now and then, but he's not. I don't know. He didn't. By the end, he didn't fight it.
He's a mascot.
And he stepped down. Leading way to, of course, an aftermath of
the demon himself.
You get good old Bob Iger.
This is the motherfucker who is the face of WGA and SAG-AFTRA. There's enough of them that are not making enough money that will starve them. Once there enough of them are fucking homeless and hungry in the streets, then they'll come to the table and take the deal we want to give them. That's the motherfucking face of that while he's in Sun Valley, Idaho at the Billionaire Summer Camp Conference. On the left there.
Welcome to the new era of Disney. I mean, I wanted to do an episode on the funny 8 months that Michael Chapek was CEO of Disney, where he was effectively given a job, given nothing to do, and then quietly
the Gerald Ford of Disney. Yeah.
He just kind of comes in and leaves I don't know.
Even though Michael Eisner
I'm
looks
sure
like
he's
Gerald
in the
Ford.
LA River somewhere face down. Who knows at this? But no, you got yourself a Bob Iger, and those years we might cover in a future episode.
Fuck him.
He's terrible.
Fuck him to death. I hope he catches some horrible disease and dies.
But I feel like we have the two eras of entertainment in this.
Who's now in his second tour as CEO of the whole fucking House of
It's
Mouse.
like he took a lunch break. It's not even like a second tour. He just took like an 8-month lunch break and then...
And he said, nope,
Nope.
I'm back in, and I fucking hope...
Daddy's back.
I fucking hope some WGA and SAG-AFTRA members fucking are homeless and destitute on the fucking streets, because that's when we're gonna get them right where we fucking want them.
Much like the future of Disney's California Adventure, the future of the one Mr. Iger has yet to be seen.
I hope it's painful.
You never know. You never know. This is effectively Aftermath. This is what the park's become as of this year. And it's worth noting you still have some of the flaws where you have a hotel taking up way too much space and not a whole lot to do down in your center part of the park. But you got some superhero shit to do. You got a full cut.
Did Avengers Campus push out A Bug's Life?
Yeah.
Okay.
And kind of extended, but now you can have Avengers characters, your superhero characters.
Yeah, whatever.
On the streets of a fake town.
I'm not gonna. I am not.
I'll take it.
I'm not gonna get angry at the very young members of Generation Z and the first members of Generation Alpha. If they get to go to a Disney's California Adventure and they get to experience the joy of going to an Avengers campus, great. I don't hate it.
Well, that, and there's also that cynical part of me where you could be walking down fake Hollywood Street, and a Disney fake Spider-Man could come up to you and try to act like the real Spider-Man.
I've been to Times Square. I've experienced that.
It's a flavor win. It's a flavor win.
Yeah.
It's all part of the experience.
These aren't the things that I hate about Bob Iger. Like, whatever, expand the park, make it better.
No, this isn't an
add
Iger
more
episode.
Features,
Yeah.
but like, I hope you fucking die a slow and painful death, and I hope you experience nothing but fear as you experience your last moments. It's just everything else about you, I hope, rots
Just
in hell.
barely. It's just filling it in with IPs that he acquired, because under your Iger years, that's when Disney acquires Pixar, that's when they acquire Marvel, that's when they acquire your fucking Lucasfilm, your Fox. I don't know. I wanted to talk about nobody's favorite theme park, but you, Taylor,
I like California Adventure.
Oh, wow.
I liked it when I was a minor, and we went as like a family that had like less than a decade ago been to Disneyland, so like might as well go to California Adventure and then get the free 2 hours you get at Disneyland before like the fireworks show happens. And I liked it as an adult because I could get drunk and experience California Adventure, and then stumble over to Disneyland while still carrying that inebriation, and it made my overall experience over that week I spent in Anaheim that much more enjoyable.
Flawed from the ground up, in my opinion. But
It's not
that
great.
is only my opinion. There are so many mistakes that are still present in the present,
I've
this version.
had just as much fun getting smashed and going to Wild Waves.
Oh, absolutely. But Wild Waves doesn't cost $115 for a day.
And I mean, to be fair, Disneyland California Adventure didn't give me third-degree sunburns. Wild Waves did.
You could go to Knott's Berry Farm. I tried to look at like a year-by-year ticket price average sort of a deal, and it averages right around about half the price.
Yeah, I mean,
If you're looking for an amusement park,
I've been to the Halloween experience in Disneyland, and I know it would have been much cheaper and probably more enjoyable to go to Knott's Scary Farm.
I'm still, even throughout all this, I'm still on the fence about this park.
I do
'Cause
like that they
I
renamed the entrance to Buena Vista Street, acknowledging
Yeah.
that like all these live action Disney films from our childhood were from the studio.
It's also the kind of thing where within the first few years of it, the letters are gone, of course. They've also changed that big postcard looking entryway into something that's just
A little more just a standard entryway.
I think it was described by some like Los Angeles Times as like being less of a parody and more.
I think they got rid of the mountains and just kept the Golden Gate Bridge.
I think they even moved the Golden Gate shit. Like it turned from like a parody of LA for a main street into like a celebration of like 20s LA, which
Yeah.
is
Spaghetti at the wall, but at a very like
They
high
picked-
stakes, high cost level.
yeah, they picked the worst spaghetti that stuck to the wall. A lot of its good ideas executed very terribly. Like they
You don't think
tried.
Cars Land is the big grab, or the roller coaster is the
Oh,
big grab?
dog! I can tell you from experience from
Cars
8 years
Land
ago,
is-
Cars Land is the thing to go to in California
Brother,
Adventure.
have you ever been to Disney World? Have you ever ridden Test Track?
And the line for the Cars ride was over 2.5 hours.
I've waited for it, and it's still worth it.
That
It's
is
fun.
asinine to me.
It
Like,
is.
You would wait that long for a ride? A ride?
Here's the thing: it's Disney-fied as fuck.
Yeah.
It's a 2-hour-long line that you don't actually mind waiting in. 'cause
There's
you
accommodations to the line. They've Disney-fied the whole experience. So, like, if you're in a line that takes 2.5 hours, amongst those 2.5 hours, you're going to spend maybe 80 of those minutes in a sheltered, like shaded area
Yeah.
with swamp coolers with a fan blowing mist at you to make you not want to
That's the
fucking.
accommodations?
That
But
won't.
also,
that
you
won't
know,
make you want to
It's not like,
fucking
it's
die
not
in the
there's a
Anaheim
hot dog
heat.
stand on the way
Oh,
through, or a
No,
smoothie stand
no, there's
on the way
not
through.
food or merch really at all
No,
until
no,
you're
no,
off
they-
the ride.
Yeah, they don't throw food.
But they make
merch
it
in
so
them.
you can survive that 2.5 hours in the Anaheim heat.
These are things I expect from a Disney level experience.
They figure
not
out.
only is it accommodating,
Yeah.
there are also elements in the line for at least somebody if you're looking at the details, as well as placards are ways of cheating in this aspect. They'll try to tell a story through the line because
Yep.
you're going to be there for a bit. So
Yeah, the line
we're going to give you
itself
something to make the line part of the ride.
It's like going through a natural history museum of the Cars universe.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's small, but it's very Disney.
Mhm.
A lot of the things that eventually started to creep in all around all these different rides. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know where to end this episode, but I love Tower of Terror. That shit came in 2004.
That ride was so good.
It's my favorite ride.
Me too.
I am eternally bummed out. I do enjoy their Guardians retheme of it.
I haven't seen it since it's become Guardians, but
Yeah, it's okay. Sometimes they'll play George Clinton like "We Got the Funk" as you're jumping up and down, and it's effectively
that's
the same
better.
ride.
That's better than some 1950s bullshit.
I love the 1950s bullshit. It's spooky and you're in TV land.
Mhm.
It kind of fits.
It's a good ride. It gives you the tummy butterflies because they shoot you up way high and then they drop you down way low.
It's a fun ride. It saved
multiple
the park
times.
for me. Avengers Campus is, from what I've seen, totally a joke. It's an eatery. There's no ride. There's
It's
a
a
show.
It's a merch grab.
It's a merch
It's
grab.
like Galaxy's Edge.
But there is a lot of empty space and a little bit more of parking lot. So you never know. They might try to, again, spruce up this park by throwing another big
Infinity
roller
War
coaster.
ride.
It's a Spider-Man roller coaster. Why not?
Or
something
the
dumb.
Ant-Man
Wow.
Quantumanium experience.
Oh, that'd be a 4D experience where
Yeah.
they show a movie and like have ants walk all over your skin or something like that.
I guess one thing I have not mentioned is Disney decided in the early 2000s, after the failure of this, they were offered from J.K. Rowling rights. Do you want to make a Harry Potter theme park? No, I
Oh.
got to be in control of it. I will go with Disney if we want to make a Disney experience somewhere. Be it in,
I guess Warner Brothers was making the movies. Universal wasn't involved in the picture whatsoever at that time.
No. It was just, and Universal has this weird shaky thing where like they have some Marvel theme park rights, much like how your Six Flags has DC theme park rights.
Even though it's not a Warner Brothers park. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, and it was something that got turned down by Disney because they couldn't imagine how to ferry people in by a train. And
They
Wow.
have trams.
that's the whole point, Taylor. Is it makes no sense to me either because the Disneyland is effectively trains at
Walter
bigger,
Disney
at
was
larger
just a
macro scales. Like,
Yeah, Disneyland was just Walter Disney's train enthusiasm taken to the umpteenth degree.
it has something to do with Disneyland worried about being able to funnel in and out a sizable group of people who are all about this phenomenon of Harry Potter and how much land they would have to buy. And it's also one of those things that, if we didn't have a person with the charisma level of like a fucking napkin, who just wanted to make direct to VHS sequels of Disney movies,
Who succeeded in spite of himself.
who really, yeah, and just sort of shot to the moon and failed, but nothing that can't be patched over with a little bit of paint.
That's
Made
that
anew.
Disney magic,
It
baby.
ended up working out in